I recommend you check out Kevin from MeetKevin. He's a great real estate resource. What do you say, Kevin? Are you willing to help out?
Oh, what's up, Steven Spicer?
Whatever you need, send them my way.
Awesome. Thanks, Kevin. I really appreciate that.
Whoa, wait a second, man. What about my channel? We gotta talk. What about my channel? I talk about real estate too.
Make sure to mention my channel.
Even though I'm about to tell you something that I don't think Graham and Kevin talk enough about, I want to start this video by making it clear that I love what they're doing. In fact, if you're watching this video, it's because they both gave me the go-ahead. You see, I sent the rough concept and script to them ahead of time just to be totally sure that I didn't offend. And hey, Graham, Kevin, thank you. I appreciate their vision and the content that they tirelessly crank out. And if you have any interest in real estate and somehow haven't heard of them, I encourage you to check them both out. You'll learn a ton, even with their free stuff here on YouTube. And judging from everything else they do, I have no doubt that their paid content is more than worth the price that they charge. And you bet I'll put links to their channels and courses in the description. And no, at least as of this recording, I'm not an affiliate or in any way compensated. And if I ever am in the future, no plans. I don't even know if they do that yet. I definitely have to join myself just to be sure. I support these two real estate experts so much that in my most popular video to date, I recommend that anyone interested in real estate should go learn from them. That's actually the clip that you just saw there at the beginning, minus the dramatic exposed labels. So why this video then? My goal is to add a different perspective and experience to the conversation. You see, although I find them interesting and educational, I can't directly relate to many of the examples Graham and Kevin use. Now, I haven't seen every single one of their videos, but every time I watch one about a specific investment property, they're talking about $400,000 to $900,000 homes.
So here we go. If we buy the place for $480,000.
Obviously, that's what they have to deal with around where they live in California, and they're clearly very experienced in that area. And maybe that's what most of you are dealing with as well. But for me, I prefer to work with homes that are about 10 times smaller. At least that's where I'd recommend starting, where I can realize double-digit and sometimes even essentially infinite return on investment from the beginning. And before we dive into exactly what I'm talking about, if you aren't asking this question, you probably should be.
Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Who is this kid? What's he gonna do?
Who am I to be talking about this stuff, and why should you listen? Well, although my father had his real estate license and I can vividly remember working on deals with him as a child, and although my sister is the broker of her local Warren Buffett-owned Reese Nichols real estate office, and although I've received the training, I never sat for my real estate exam. I was slightly more interested in stocks and financial markets in general. I became a certified financial planner to be able to help people with the broad spectrum from stocks to physical real estate of investment planning. But before I made that move professionally, I had already started building my real estate portfolio. That was more than a decade ago. Today, I manage my own real estate portfolio along with a several million-dollar trust in which we own apartment buildings, offices, and so on. So that's my experience. And for my regular viewers who are used to my videos on investing in the stock market, I hope you don't mind this slight deviation. Obviously, as you can tell from my personal portfolio and from my book, I believe in diversifying beyond just the stock market, and I have a personal interest in and experience with real estate. So I hope you find this helpful and informative as well. And since I know this won't apply to everyone, I'll put this emblem at the bottom of my thumbnails for videos that have to do with physical real estate investing specifically. So you don't even have to waste your time, either because you specifically seek out these videos or because you avoid them. Either way, I hope it helps. That's my goal, to help, not to waste time. So I hope everyone watching, whether my normal viewers or those from Kevin or Graham's channels or anyone else, will take a moment at some point during or after this video to let me know in the comments if these type videos would be helpful for you or not. That'll help me determine how many I should do in the future, if at all. Come to think of it, you could also let me know with a like on your way down. I appreciate it. The reason I bring a perspective unique to Graham and Kevin is because I'm not from a big city or a coastal city where real estate prices are much, much higher. I'm from the middle of the United States. The dynamics here are pretty different. Now, that doesn't mean we don't have cities that experience high growth, high appreciation. Northwest Arkansas, for example, where I'm from, is also the headquarters of Walmart. And because of everything they do here to attract top talent and to just make it a sweet place to live, we've definitely experienced some decent appreciation over this last decade. My primary residence, for example, has gone up by about 60% since we purchased it 8 years ago. But although I don't buy here. Other than my house, there's only one other property inside that trust that I mentioned that we own in this metropolitan statistical area. There's a reason for that, and it's the reason for this video. Here it is. I'm afraid if, back when I was getting started, if I had just listened to what Graham and Kevin have to say, all great stuff, but I'm afraid I would have entirely missed the opportunities that I've been able to successfully profit from over this last decade. You see, when I have money to invest in real estate, at the most basic level I have a choice. Am I more concerned about appreciation or cash flow? Now, as those guys will tell you, every good real estate deal should have both. So it's a question of which is more important to me. And at least on the front end, in my early years of real estate investing, which I'm still in, it seems clear to me that cash flow is king. And that's what I want to focus on. When I first started, I knew that if I could build up this base that was just spitting out enough positive free cash flow, that I could just buy more and more properties every single year. I could create this passive income beast that is not only self-sustaining, but that's also growing at an increasing rate. After purchasing my first houses, I preferred that to just sitting around waiting to build up enough money from other income sources, or ultimately selling my appreciating property, before I could buy another one. I knew if my goal was to significantly grow my real estate portfolio, I'd be able to accomplish that goal much more efficiently by increasing that source of regular cash flow. Both strategies can work, focusing on cash flow or focusing on appreciation. But for me, I get way more excited about cash flow. Now, don't get me wrong, I ultimately want to own more of those nicer appreciating properties, but I'll be able to buy more of them later by focusing on cash flow today. Now, I think that the city that I live in today, voted 5th best place to live in all of the United States, by the way. I think of this city, as well as the 3 neighboring cities, as my playground for real estate appreciation opportunities. But if cash flow is my main goal, I have to go outside of those city limits to the rural communities that aren't booming quite as much. And I don't mean in the middle of nowhere. My hometown, for example, is about an hour north of here in Missouri. It has a population of about 15,000 and not really many growth prospects, but it has some amazing rental potential. The city above that has a population of about 50,000. It's growing more than my hometown, but we've still been able to find some pretty amazing cash flow opportunities there as well. The reason I mention this is to show you that if you're interested in these type of cash flow focused opportunities, if possible, and I get that it won't be possible for everyone, but if possible, you may want to expand your search to some areas perhaps a little further away that you might have been tempted to ignore before due to low appreciation potential, for example. And I hope that makes sense. Now, I want to show you an example of what I'm talking about and why you might want to at least look for opportunities like this for yourself, as opposed to those $500,000 homes that are barely cash flowing. Now, this is a property where our tenant just left and we're in the middle of getting it fixed up for the next one. That's why there are things lying around and you can see that it's not quite ready. That's also why I was just there and filmed this, because I needed to check in on it before we rent it out again. So that's the example I decided to cover with you today. Now, she isn't pretty on the outside by any means, but when you really get to know her, when you dive into her numbers, she looks way more attractive. Now, I'd love to run through and explain the exact numbers with you in the same way that I conduct a detailed stock analysis, but I don't want to make this video too long, and I can prove the point quicker just telling you rough figures. I purchased this property just over 4 years ago. She needed a little work done on the inside before I could rent her out, so after a little back and forth with the seller, I agreed to buy it for a little under $40,000, with the seller giving me a check for $5,000 in repairs. I put 20% down through my bank. We didn't contract out those repairs. My team did them instead, so they ended up only costing us about half that amount that was given. In all, I was out of pocket less than $8,000. My brilliant property manager rented her out for $575 per month, well over the $220 I was paying monthly for my mortgage. I also factor an additional $180, in this case, each month for what I'll call my F fund, my manager's commissions and other smaller expenses. And after factoring out that overestimate for expenses of $400, we realized about $175 per month, or about $2,100 each year. That's a cash-on-cash return on investment of over 25%, $2,100 per year in positive cash flow on my less than $8,000 investment. That's how this one played out for the last 4 years. Those aren't just my projections. Those are the actual numbers, actual returns. So I've already made back my initial investment, and I'm not even talking about the other benefits that come from owning real estate. The fact that the tenant has now paid down my mortgage, the tax benefits, and the appreciation that did happen, even if it was just a little. That tenant just moved out of that one. We're fixing it back up with some of the money that is set aside in the aforementioned F fund, and we'll be ready to roll again. Think about what you could do with cash flow focused investment real estate like that. If this was your first home purchase, you probably could have put less down if you wanted to, like you'll hear Kevin preach about. Then, after a few years, you could have easily picked up another one just like it. A couple years after that, another, and then why not 1 or 2 every year? Now, I didn't just cherry pick this home. It's not the one with the highest ROI in our portfolio. This is just the house that we're currently working on. That's why we were there. It's just one of the many examples like this. They're all a little different, but their ROIs range from double digit to essentially infinite when I'm able to cash out for more than I even put in, something we can talk about more later if you're interested. And I'd love to walk you through the exact numbers associated with this or any property and take you through the processes we use to find and invest in them. But again, only if you think that would help. So please let me know in the comments and let me know by hitting that like button. And if your goal, like mine, is to invest smarter, whether in stocks or real estate or both, I hope you'll hit that subscribe button so we can continue to work together. I look forward to getting to know you better and helping however I can. Take care.